be your cue.
That helps a lot.
Cool. So
Okay.
let's start from the beginning. Cool. Ready, guys?
Mm-hmm. So I'll see you coming. Oh, I'm early.
How you doing?
Fine.
Nice night.
Mm-hmm.
Are we gonna say the lines?
Yeah, this is
Just to get accustomed to the time. Yeah.
How you doing?
Hi.
Nice night. No, how you doing? Sorry.
That's okay.
Fine.
I won't go back.
How you doing? Sorry.
I seem to recall we were like this when we did it originally, too.
How you doing?
Hi.
Nice night.
Mm-hmm. Pizza Dude's got 30 seconds.
Do I shake my head at the end?
You can do anything you want.
No, but I want to do it, it's for the fans, yeah. Hey, Mikey, did you ever think about what Splinter said tonight? I mean, about what it would be like. You know, not having him.
Hello, sweet face. Okay. All right, kid. Okay. And this is just kind of like, okay, tell me. Okay,
This is my petulant New York actor.
okay, let's see. Tilt. Like tilt. This is how the women show all the cleavage, right? But put this hand on the outside if you went. Okay. All right.
Author pose.
Oh, this oh my gosh. Okay. Oh, that's nice.
She is the one person in my entire life experience that I think has captured me on film the best.
One of my most favorite photos you took of me was the one at the table, the kitchen table, with my little knit cap on.
Who knows if there will ever be another practical application for me for a headshot. But I like the idea of closing that circle of her having taken photographs and in particular headshots of me when I was a much younger man in my 20s, and then now much further on. And I'm actually interested to see how her eye captures me now.
Okay, come to me, come to me, come to me, come to me. Thank you. And let's see. Okay, if you do double hand like that. Yeah, I like that. I would like that very much. Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Hi, welcome to Photography Today. Today our guest is Maria Piscopo. Now Maria and I are both East Coast people. Maria was born in New York. I was born in Pennsylvania.
I was raised back in a suburb of Philadelphia called Seacane. And the first time I knew I was an artist, I took a picture of my mother at the kitchen sink. And she was bathed in shadow, and it looked like some of those paintings I had seen. There was a peacefulness, and I think there was a contentment in that. And it was just a beautiful moment, and it was an everyday moment. That was one of my early promo stuff, was Nancy Clendaniel will capture magical moments in everyday life. I love the playfulness of the people that are usually creating the arts, that project positively, that are joyful things, that are whimsical things. Young girls playing chess or dressing up, or boys determined to hit the baseball bat. I remember little Owen Leahy, and I have a shot of him called Determination, and he's just got the bat, and his whole face his whole being is about hitting that ball. And it's like capturing those moments of determination, hope, confidence, joy, relief, Those are the moments that I think are so exciting. I know there's people that take pictures of dog shit, the photographers that do that. It's awful, and they've had major exhibitions. I hate it.
In tonight's First News Focus, we point our cameras on the women who point their cameras. An exhibit of photographs by women from around the world is showing now at the Portland School of Art.
But whether it's news or art, a good photograph hits a nerve.
For me, this is apples and oranges, but I think it's whatever touches you, whatever touches your heart. I mean, there's the technical aspects, but I think if you can project something that's heartfelt and that it touches another person, that to me, that's communication, and I think that's what it's about.
The first time that I photographed a stage performance, I had been working as the president of the Sonny and Cher fan club of Philadelphia. So one of the perks was Teresa Rinaldi, who was their manager back in the day. She said, well, they're coming to Philadelphia. You can go backstage. They'll be expecting you. But once I got backstage, I was completely terrified. 16 and thinking, I had my picture taken with them, and I'm sitting there like actually it's a nice picture. I look good because I think I was terrified. I was just deer in the headlights, scared. Sonny walked me out to the stage door and then said, "You go out here." And then he grabbed me and kissed me on the lips, and I was like, because at that point, 16, first man who ever kissed me on the lips, Sonny Bono. And Cher was right there. It was like, she gave me a hug and it was all fine, but it was just like, after I left Philadelphia, I moved up to outside of New York. My good friend Maggie, she introduced me to a nice fella named Victor Gellinella. I ran away to live with Vic, and he got an opportunity to work at Long Wharf Theater. There was a young people's theater, the YPT, and they brought up actors from New York. And one of those actors was Michelan Sisti.
Where to find a talent that could act like a sheep, yet have the confidence and energy of a wolf? Ta-da! Actor and mime artist Michelan Sisti has been a dinosaur and a ninja turtle.
I was an Army brat. I was raised on Army posts until the age of 13. I used to put on shows in the backyard in Dayton, Ohio. When my dad was stationed there, I would use my swing set in the backyard as the stage. And I would just do crazy things for all of my friends in the neighborhood. And I realized that I really enjoyed having them laugh at me and what I did, and sometimes they would even applaud if they were feeling really generous. So I thought, I like this. This is something that I would like to repeat again, please. Being a military brat, you have to fit in. You have to do whatever you can to fit in. Sometimes it's being the cut up, but it's not just a convenience, it's a necessity, because if you don't fit in, you're gonna be ostracized and alone for another 2 years. It's laid the groundwork for me being what I became, that's for sure. I was putting myself through school as a musician. One of the guys that I worked with, he was a local actor as well, and a bit of a celebrity. So when he called me to do Snoopy in Your Good Man, Charlie Brown, I jumped at the chance. During that run, one evening, this fellow showed up in the dressing room. He said, I've got this theater company that we're just about to go in residence in the local Studio Arena Theater, which is a regional theater, professional theater, and I'd like you to be part of the company. I said, oh, really? So that's how I became a professional actor. That's how I got my equity card.
The king, both great and grand, who has a land at his command, will want his flag to reach another shore.
And I made the choice then that it was time, if I was going to do it ever, I was going to move to New York then. And I got really lucky. About 4 months into the move to New York, I got an audition for the Long Wharf Theater in New Haven, Connecticut. She was actually the girlfriend of a lovely fellow who was our assistant in the company, and I liked him very much. I met his girlfriend, and I liked her more. There was one night we were out as a group.
We all went ice skating. This great ice skating party.
And we had a little libation, so there was a little tipsiness.
Michael was a great ice skater, and me, growing up with the ice follies and ice skating at every possibility, I was a great ice skater. And then driving home.
In somebody's car, it had to have been somebody who had a station wagon because I was in the back.
We wound up in the very back of the van, and we had just had so much fun on the ice. I just think it was the moment when I went, this is a fun guy. And Michael's girlfriend was up front, sitting next to Vic. All of a sudden.
And I got a little forward and made some advances towards Nancy.
And Michael reached over and grabbed my hand. And I was like, whoa, this is ballsy.
And I remember reaching over and kind of pulling her over and giving her a kiss, because I was drunk.
I think that's accurate, yeah. I just knew that there was a moment when there was like zzz, and it was, so if it was a kiss, it'd be sweet. I hope it was a kiss, that's really nice.
She put me off, but she didn't put me off as in to say, don't bother to do this ever again.
So, what was that? I had been with Vic, but with Michael, I would have to say, I just kind of felt sort of smitten.
Slowly, very slowly, we kind of built a relationship, and within about 2 or 3 months after that period, we came to the decision that we should be together. She was unique in my experience because up to that point, I had only been with actresses. So Nancy was totally different from that. She was beginning her career as a photographer, or at least thinking about that. So what was wonderful for me was that in addition to being madly in love with each other, we would go out and shoot together of cameras. She wasn't into the AK-47s, never has been. She often took photographs of me, usually candids that I wasn't aware of. I was so relaxed with her that these are photographs that, to my mind, show me in my truest light.
I never thought about people as soulmates or any of that crap. I still don't. But I just felt like we kind of got each other. I just had the feeling sometimes I would look at him and we would both get something at the same time. And it was like, it was like a wink and a nod, even though it wasn't. It was just like, yeah, that's fabulous, or that's great. I learned a lot about photography from him because he's really good. He's a really good photographer. I don't know of anything that Michael Sisti does that is half-assed. He saw me as an artist. And before that, I don't think I saw myself as an artist. I think I saw myself as somebody's beautiful girlfriend. I think I saw myself as someone attached to a man. And I think when I met Michael, he honored my gift. He knew I had that in me, and so he would always encourage me to take the extra risk, take the extra step. We encouraged each other because we saw innately the strengths. You know, you don't always see your own strength as a person or an artist. There was one time I remember he went to an audition in New York, and he came back, and it was a good audition for a commercial, and he looked kind of down, and I remember saying, what's wrong? Did you not get it? He goes, no, I got it. And I said, you got it? You got it? What's wrong? And he goes, yeah, I'm a dancing cornflake. And I said, oh. And he goes, do you think that's my future, Nan? Do you think that's what my future is, a dancing cornflake? And I said, oh, don't be silly. I said, you have all this talent. And I think he said, yeah, but I'm 5'2". And I was like, that doesn't matter. And he said, yes, it matters. On stage, it matters. And it was like, I could see for the first time, I could see where he didn't have that confidence that I always saw was rock solid. I think the problems with the relationship is when I just started feeling left out or left behind, in the sense that I wasn't experiencing things that he was experiencing at certain levels. I didn't have the confidence yet. And I'm not a competitive person. I just started to feel less than. And I would see him with actresses, and I would see him around people, and I thought, I'm never going to be that. I'm not an actress. Gosh, I'm not going to be that.
I wasn't ready. And in the end, most of what ended up separating us as a couple was my inadequacies, my immaturity. She would like to have done nothing more than to get married and settle down and have a life together. I wasn't at that point yet. It was the feeling that, oh, if I make that commitment now, what am I going to be missing down the road? Now, not necessarily just in the personal venue, but my thinking was that when you make that commitment, it's for good. And I wasn't at that point yet.
The last time I saw Michael, I ripped the glasses off his face and broke them in half. I was so angry. And he said, Nan, I know you hate me. I will prove to you one day that I love you, that I really love you. And I just said, like, forget it. I didn't think I would ever get over it because I just felt that this was the man that I still love. So it's very hard.
As an Army brat, as I was, where you were moving around every 2 years and having to re-establish relationships with people and fit in, I literally had in my own head a clock, a 2-year, 3-year clock. So when I was in relationships for more than 2 years, there were things going on in my head saying, you gotta move on, you can't be here, it's time to move along.
Hearing about his lifestyle growing up, sort of a nomadic lifestyle as the son of a military guy, I think he moved constantly. We were together those years in one place. And again, for him, that was rare. Because I think after we split, he moved to New York, and then he was touring, and he was going around and around. So I look at it as a thirst for his career, but also a lifestyle that was like inbred with him. Loving people, working in small groups in a company, doing a show, deep connection, deep passion, big feelings, big experiences, and then gone. I think we left it like, that's it. That's it. I never expected to ever see him again. I remember my mom helped me pack the Volkswagen and I drove to Chicago by myself. I was in Chicago, I had a little apartment, and I had gotten this job with the St. Nicholas Theater, which was great because David Mamet was the hottest playwright going. He had just done American Buffalo, and I was working with him, but I didn't know anybody. So I looked in the paper and at the Blue Max, Billy Fellows appearing for the week. I was like, oh, Billy. For years and years, I'd known Billy. So I came to the club and it was great. We had a great time. We were so happy to see each other because, again, we were both kind of on our own, flying solo after having been in committed relationships for years. And we were together a couple years, but I think we both helped each other get through that really hard time. And it's because of Billy that I met John Davidson. John was one of the top entertainers. I photographed his show. He saw my work and he called Billy and said, I want to hire Nancy to do this singer summer camp. Is she available? Billy goes, I think she's available. So I just picked up and moved and I just came to California. As it turns out, it was like the forerunner to American Idol, where people from all over the country, young kids from, I think it was age 17 to 25, auditioned by tape, and they trained with top people, celebrity people, top arrangers, trained at the camp in Toyon Bay. On the weekends, they would come to the Avalon Bowl and perform to hundreds of people in this outdoor amphitheater that John and Billy and all put together and created. Got national press, was on all TV, from Canada, from Milwaukee, people were coming. And it was just like a whole new life that was away from Michael. It got me completely back on track, and I was doing photography. It really built my confidence. You were cranking out pictures, you had to perform, and it was okay. You made a mistake, something happened, okay, well, you'll take more film. And I was getting more comfortable talking 2 entertainers working with the band. It was like, okay, well, Andy Williams will be here tonight. I was like, oh my God, shit, it's Andy Williams. It was unreal. But at the time, I was just enjoying it. I was just being in the moment. I wasn't thinking of it, and I felt suddenly very deserving of it. 24/7, we barely got a break, but I wouldn't have had it any other way. If you have your career, everything can go to hell, and you're still okay. You've got that to hold on to.
The next thing that came up was because I had done one particular number in cabaret where the MC dances with a gorilla. I was the guy in the gorilla. Great fun. In fact, we even did it on the street in front of Macy's for the Thanksgiving parade that year. Because I had done suit work in a couple of shows, including the gorilla and cabaret, they asked me to audition for a couple of new shows that were coming in. And that was the day that my agent called and said, what do you know about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? And we both laughed because we knew nothing about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So my agent said, oh, go on in. It's another audition. What the hell? Go. So I went. Steve Barron, the director, I went down and read for him. He said, here's another Raphael side. Go back home tonight, work on this, and come up with your rendition of ninja fight choreography. Because by that time, he had explained to me that these are Ninja Turtles. They do ninja stuff. I went, oh, okay. So I did my audition, and I did my full tilt bozo, and finished with what, at the time, I thought was a roundhouse kick, and I punched my foot through the wall. He laughed, thank God, and said, anyone who would do that deserves to be one of my turtles. And that's how I got that gig, and that changed everything.
God, I love being a turtle!
God, I love being a turtle!
Ninja, rock and roll!
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. Freak against freak.
Take the ugly one!
No, you take the ugly one!
Which one's the ugly one?
Being part of the Ninja Turtles was like nothing else I'd ever prepared myself. I couldn't have prepared myself for it. First of all, we were given our intensive training with our sensei in New York, basic martial arts training plus particular training with our particular weapons. It was such a hard job. The suits themselves, dry, weighed about 50 pounds. Once you got in it and started to sweat it up, the suit itself was foam latex, about yay thick. But because it was foam latex, it was a huge, gigantic sponge, and within 20 minutes, you would sweat it up and add another 20 pounds of sweat. So it was about 70 pounds when you're actually working most of the day. So you had all of that weight and everything behind you, and then the mechanism and the cables making noise in front of you.
The motor sounds that's constantly going on, and you've got the sound from your puppeteer, because you can talk to him. And you've got, in the other ear, you've got the sound from the common feed, which is everybody talking together. And then you have whatever's going on in the outside world, which also filters through as well. So it's basically like being in Grand Central at rush hour with a tin can over your head. It's a lot of fun.
I met my husband, Frank Catolo. That changed my life. I moved to Hollywood, and I got the job with the Beverly Theater as a house photographer based on a lot of the work they saw from Catalina. They saw, I worked with Kenny Rogers. Oh, you worked with Andy Williams. It just went like wildfire, and I just started getting to photograph 7 nights a week sometimes. My goodness, there's so many stories. But this one day, the theater owner says, get down here and bring every roll of film you've got. I said, what's going on? He goes, Dylan's here. He and Carlos Santana are rehearsing for their European tour. I'm going to the office, and as I'm starting to head toward the theater, in comes Bill Graham, the world-renowned promoter who was Janis Joplin, the Grateful Dead, and Dylan. He was the promoter at the time. And he comes in, he goes, what are you doing with the camera? And I was like, oh, I'm just gonna get some stills. He goes, no, Dylan doesn't want any photos. Absolutely no photos. Out. And I went, oh, I'm so sorry. I said, I'm the house photographer. He said, I don't care. Oh, okay. Meanwhile, Jay Marciano, the owner of the theater, he goes, get the damn picture. It's my theater, get the picture. Do whatever you have to do, get it. So now I'm in stealth bomber mode. So I knew the theater well enough, and Bill Graham, once he went back in, I slipped upstairs to the balcony. And there's Dylan on stage with Carlos Santana. And I had my quiet little Olympus OM1, and I just clicked like that in the upstairs in the balcony, click, and looking around like this, click. So I got about maybe 2-3 rolls. Soon after, I get a call from Rolling Stone magazine. They said, "You have some pictures of Dylan?" "Yeah, I do." And she goes, "Well, we want to." Okay, my big moment. But guess what? I told them the story, Bill Graham. They said, "Well, we'll pay you, but we just won't print your name." And I went, okay. There's my shot of Bob Dylan with no photo credit.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Look, I just want to say to you all, thank you for this wonderful journey from
Dinosaurs was absolutely wonderful. All 4 seasons. They would say to me, and many times, as it turned out, we're doing a scene with puppets. Go grab that puppet over there or that one and come out here and do the shot. I had never done puppeteering before in my life. Then I got involved with the Muppets, and that whole process heightened even more because not only are you doing what I consider to be one of the top levels of the work in the world, but you're working with the top people in the world too. So my very first independent puppeteering gig was doing a chicken, which I have done many, many chickens over the years now, in Muppets Classic Theater. And as I found out many times to come in the future, my chicken was here and everybody else's chicken was up here because I was a bit shorter than everyone else. I love coming up with a character I'll make each one of the penguins that I've done have been different. To me, they may have looked the same to a lot of other people because penguins do tend to look alike, but I have a different intention for every one that I've done. Some of them have been lazy, some of them have been really on top of things, some have been distracted, others have been so focused it's silly. So I like that kind of moment for myself. That's a satisfying moment just for me.
This camera gave me power and protection at the same time. As long as I have a camera in front of my face, I feel safe. I would say being a woman in photography has changed enormously now. It was all men. I had a guy who he said, "If you get in my way again, I will knock your fucking head off." And I was like, whoa, and I had other guys go like, boom, and just knock me. And I was little. And then they would do things like they would have metal cases they carried their equipment in, and I was short. And they would just get in there and stand in front of you and block the shot so you couldn't get it. They would deliberately sabotage you.
Well, the worst thing ever happened to me, I was photographing Yoko Ono, and I had waited and waited for an hour. I was hired, I was waiting for her to arrive, and when she arrived, someone put a tripod on my instep and cracked a bone in my foot, and I think I got off 5 shots, and I limped out, and it was agonizing.
But you got your shots.
But I got my shot.
You got your shot.
So after over 9 years with the Beverly Theater, I was kind of burned out. I was just going 7 days a week, and my marriage fell apart. With my husband leaving and the shock of that, I truly fell into the arms of someone that was a mutual friend of ours, and he was very kind to me. And we just had a very brief fling, and I think it was just out of needing to feel loved and to just feel that someone cared. And within a very short time, it was like we were just totally different people, totally different interests. So I went off to Yosemite with a girlfriend. I was hiking, I was diving into the pools, came back from Yosemite and I wasn't feeling well. And I thought, I better see my doctor. Did some tests and she said, "Nancy, you're pregnant." I was like, oh my goodness. It was like, okay, please God, I really want to get out of LA. I don't want to raise my baby in this atmosphere. And I had wanted to go to Seattle. And that was like that. 3 months later, hit the road. And we moved to Seattle. My son was young. There was no family. I was pretty much on my own. One night, my son developed croup and he stopped breathing at 2 o'clock in the morning. We were in the hospital all night, and then I got sick. On my way home, I look in the local newspaper. I had been interviewed the week before. Famous LA photographer, all my pictures. And I was like, oh, that was my life. But it was so bizarre because that person that had created those pictures no longer existed. It's really hard to be creative when you're thinking the power's going to be cut off and there's nowhere to turn to. That was probably the hardest, those really, really hard years, salad years, whatever you would call it.
The physical side is a sacrifice. You have the debilitating process that takes place because you're doing stuff that your body wasn't designed to do, A, and you're doing it for a long period of time, B.
And that begins to wear on your mind because you think, oh my God, suddenly I'm inadequate.
The other thing is what happens with your personal relationships. If you're not with the right person, if you're in a relationship, it'll kill it. Week in and week out to do 12 and 14-hour days, that's tough. You have to be selfish when you're on a schedule like that. Otherwise, you're not going to survive it, or even worse, not be able to do your job.
You deal with those things, those uncomfortable moments, as best you can.
Don't give up. Find a way to keep it going. If you have to keep it going on a lesser level for a while until things change for you again, do that. Keep your dream going.
Well, that's great. Thanks so much.
My pleasure.
I had to choose between my child or my career, and there was no choice. For me, there was no choice. I already had my career. I knew who I was. I knew that this was complete love, and I'm very proud. I mean, I have a son I'm really proud of, so you can't beat that. That's my best production.
Christmas is coming, a scary fact. Would you please put a penny in the old man's hat? If you haven't got a penny, a halfpenny will do. If you haven't got a penny, God bless you.
What was the other song?
You ever worry now, I mean, you're the turtles and now the dinosaurs, that you're going to be typecast as a reptile?
Oh, please. Hey, Clark! Yeah? How's that new invention of yours coming along?
Great, Oog. I call it the wheel. Now we can go any place, move great distances, and live anywhere you want.
Yourself from your control paralysis.
We've used this in many different characters.
Oh, this is cool.
What enables you to go back and recontact someone from your past like that is because you still love them. And we still love each other to this day.
I first reconnected with Michael. He was doing this amazing train adventure, and he said, would it be okay if I come and see you for a few days? And I was like, sure.
The deal was that we would meet at this stop prior to Vancouver. And I looked it up on Google Maps, and there was no station. It was a gravel road that went up to the tracks with a little clearing there and a sign.
It's actually a slab of concrete is all it is in the middle of a field. It's like a north by northwest kind of setup.
Because she has a bit of a reputation for not being a good navigator. So I said, are you going to be able to find this? I mean, do you have GPS and all that stuff? She goes, oh, yeah. Didn't have that. So comes the time where I'm getting off the train and it's pouring down. It's just pissing down rain.
I got there at 7, a little before 7:10.
And I'm standing there. It's like 5 o'clock, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning.
They got in early.
Well, she had a little trouble finding the place. So a few hours later, when she did actually find me, I was a drowned rat by that point.
Pulling in, I see this figure in white going like this in the pouring rain. I mean, buckets and buckets. There's this little figure, and I was like, oh my God.
I think I took one of the laundry bags that they had in my bedroom on the train and used it for a rain hat.
And And so he had one over his head with his arms like this and down here, and he was just swaying like this. It was so sad. And I was like, oh my God. And he was shivering, and I was like, ah. So that romantic, like, slow motion, you know, Clairol commercial suddenly was, get in the car. And I said, oh, get on. So everything went wrong that could go wrong.
It was magical to see each other again. You know, magical is when you're 22 and there's a soundtrack playing and all that sort of stuff, and there's wind blowing in her hair. But it was magical for the ages that we were at the time that we reconnected.
I'd seen Michael before, but it was just like, well, okay, it's good to see him, you know, love him, it's good to see him. But this time it was like, ooh, I love him, ooh. But I'm like, I'm not saying nothing because that's the last thing I need right now. My life is just like fine. Before he got on the train, he grabbed me and he hugged me and he said, I love you. And I was like, I couldn't speak. I was like, okay, oh, okay. And then he ran back on the train and I just stood there. I was like, I don't know, what does that mean? But I didn't even want to think about it. I was just in the moment and it was like, wow, that was unexpected, that was nice.
Because we were reconnecting and she felt that we would go on to the next step. And when that didn't happen, then she would express her dissatisfaction with that. But as I told her after the fact in the instances when that would happen, you know, this doesn't affect, I'm not gonna pull away from you now because you're hoping for something different. I still love you, I still want to have you in my life. It's just not going to be that life that you're hoping for. That's not going to happen.
He always had this film that we loved. It was called Love Among the Ruins. And it was about two people who had been lovers, like we were, and they lost each other, and then they came back together. They walked off. Of course, Hepburn, Laurence Olivier, they walk off into the sunset with the backdrop.
Grow old along with me. The best is yet to be.
Grow old along with me, the best is yet to be. And it was kind of something that it was a theme in for all the years, even when we were apart, Michael found a copy of that tape and sent it to me. And it was like these little messages. And I was like, what is he saying? What is he feeling? I don't know. You know, at that time I didn't have time for it, but now I had time for it. But it seemed that scared him. I felt like by me saying, you know, we still have time to share, and you know, we've all been through a lot, and we still care, and that's something that's worthy of something.
To be honest with you, I do not want to hurt or disappoint her ever again. Having done that in the early times, don't want to do that again.
So sometimes that's just how life, it just goes like that. But it's sad, I think, because I think we have a lot to share, and I don't know how much time we have to share it. So that makes me cry. It makes me cry.
I think we can finish on that.
Okay. That's enough. That's hard. You asked some hard questions, kid. Dang.
We know practically that we can't be together necessarily. I don't necessarily want to go to Seattle because for what I'm trying to maintain here, there's nothing there for me. And I know she's been in this neck of the woods before and left it. In the case of our relationship as it stands now, as it has morphed and evolved into, I'm the one that kind of holds the line. There was a time when we first reconnected that she would have loved for us to be back together as a couple. On some days, I feel the same way. But I also know myself well enough at this point to know that I have to set my own limitations and boundaries in this regard. It's the same thing for me why I haven't pursued another relationship beyond 10 years ago or more, because it became so hard for me to deal with the emotional ups and downs like that I finally, in my own psyche, made the choice that I'm not going to deal with that because I don't want that. And that's what I've become. I've become an individual person who has been on his own for a long time.
I have been thinking more and more in terms of what retired life would be for me. Retired will be strange in that I won't be doing what I've done all of these years and love doing on a regular basis. And the biggest thing of the adjustment will be not seeing my friends every day at work. Obviously, what I do with the puppets, your hands are up in the air a lot. And now there's a shorter time before it starts to really hurt. And also, it takes longer to recuperate. In the early morning hours, you have the occasional thought of, oh God, what now? I'm just going to kind of fade away. In some ways, yeah, you are going to fade away because that's the process. That's the natural process too for your body as well as your mind. But there's how you fade away. And in my case, I think I'm going to be okay. I've still got my circle of friends that support me and keep me going and make me happy with my life. And I have, like I say, I've been discovering more and more things that I enjoy doing that I've never really had the time to do. So I will fill the time. You needn't be talking about me. You can be talking about yourself.
Okay, so you want to try and get in? Want to try and get in there?
I love baseball season, especially the 7th inning stretch. Oh, take me out to the ball game, take me out to the crowd, buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack, I don't care. If I ever get back for it's root for the home team if they don't win. It's a shame for it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. I feel like I was a beat off. Okay, here we go. Something like this.
First time I met Misha, he walked in. He just looked like he had the world on a string, you know? And he was just, like, who is this guy? He just felt so comfortable in himself, and in the process, we were trying to get these giant rubber dinosaurs to life. And the second he got in the suit, he said, okay. It was like mission control, and it was like having Neil Armstrong in the capsule going, we got this, Houston. I would say the greatest suit performer ever. And there's been a lot of them, and I'm sorry for some of the other guys, but the way Misha could steer the ship and his timing and the things he could do blind, he was just a miracle.
We had a good rapport and we had this good chemistry instantly.
When we do characters together, there's a precision and there's a harmony that he helps evoke out of all of us. Not in a browbeating way, but in a loving kind of like, no, let's do this better.
Misha! Look away.
One of the things people have asked me is, can an artist retire? I don't think true artists do. I don't think they can. I think that is part of their life, it's part of their soul. It's what makes them get up every morning of every day and do what they do.
Can an artist ever really retire? There's no reason for an artist to retire unless it's something that is damaging to their life now, or it's taking away from something that's so much more passionate. Misha performs because it's in him and he just has to let it out.
No, I don't think artists ever retire. I think they're wired to keep creating.
I can't imagine him not being creative. I can't imagine him absent of having that part of his life because that's who he is. The artist is the man is the artist.
I can't even imagine this world without him. And he's still alive. I said, oh, this is rude, isn't it? And it's like I'm already eulogizing him, but no, let's stay. He's alive, and I won't give you the phone number, but he's available.
Little perverse. Little medicinal assistance here.
Sometimes there's these periods in your life that are magic, and you don't realize it till you're out of it, or until it's over, how magical they were. I think the word legacy doesn't occur to you until you're 50, or maybe for me, 65. And I was like, oh, I think I have a legacy. Because you've created this art that's in these little 35 strips or 2 1/4 strips. But you know, that's part of your heart. My mentor, when she passed away, she left everything, was in a trunk in her closet, and I still have it in my closet. That's her life's work in a box. And I thought, oh, I don't want that to happen. I knew I had worked so hard. I never stopped. And I was building layer upon layer upon layer of some really cool experiences that I felt were historically of interest, and I always wanted to make books. And with John Davidson, it was documenting that time in John's life, in all these students' life, my life, and just being in this beautiful paradise in Catalina. I wrote to his wife, and John got in touch, and he said, Nancy, you're awesome. This is amazing. He said, what can I do? What can I do? Who can I call? How can I help you? This is so cool. I thought, okay, all systems go. And one by one, I would find someone. And it just became the most gratifying thing I've ever done. So that brought me to California. I'm filming for a book that we're writing called the JDSSC Experience, the John Davidson Senior Citizen Camp, getting all the former students and band and everybody that was involved to talk about their experience and tell their stories.
Voice clients.
And there's one of our visitors, and I thought you might know. That's another man. That's don't track anything on the deck. Here we are. Here we are right here.
I love it.
Oh, it's looking very familiar. This is awesome. All good. Fantastic. It's like they've just added life to it. It's exhilarating being back here after all these years because it's still alive. It's not a relic. It's preserved, but it's beyond preserved. It's still celebrating the life that exists here, and the natural environment has been enhanced. All these blocks and the pavement, because it was dusty, it was terribly dusty. I can't believe this is where I got started 39 years ago. This is where I started officially to be a photographer, working 24/7 in this very campus. This very campus. Oh, the water still tastes the same. Kind of bad. Wow. It feels foreign yet familiar to be back in California. It's like something like revisiting your hometown. It's like when you revisit your hometown and you know it so well, but yet it's foreign to you now. I love it. Oh, this is oh my gosh. This is where I spent most of my time. Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. That is amazing. What keeps me excited, what keeps me going, what motivates me is feeling that I'm bringing something to the table that is still useful, that has a purpose, that it isn't so archaic. You know, you start to think, oh my gosh, I need to be contemporary. I need to be, still, even though I've got all these years behind me, I need to still feel in the running. You know, this is why I'm learning to text. And I am getting distracted now. I'm sorry, because there's life going on around me and I don't want to miss it, right? This is what makes photographers annoying to travel with. There's still so much life, I feel, to the past here, to the past relationship with Michael. I mean, we're both, Michael and I are both still standing and we have a lot to share. I'm leaving here today feeling enormous hope and excitement without trying to write the final chapter. I'm just watching it unfold, and it's just more than I could imagine. It's really exciting. Going back to see Michael, what am I expecting? I'm trying not to expect anything. I'm just joyful that we're both still alive and that we're here, and that I'm not expecting anything more than just setting eyes on someone I love and knowing that he's be happy to set eyes on me. And I think that's all you can ask for in life, to have someone who is happy to see you when you walk through the door. Goodbye, Toyan. This is crazy. This is very strange. This real mellow.
Hello, you.
Oh. Oh, hi. Yeah, just natural, just every day.
Yeah.
I almost fell flat as we were coming up the stairs. Did you hear the laugh? Because I tripped and I was like, okay, boom. And that's my entrance, Mr. DeMille. First of all, I want a drink of water.
Okay.
And I have water in my camera bag, which is down there.
I've got water in it.
I've never had this where I'm wired for sound, and I'm not.
Well, we're gonna make it a regular routine now. He's gonna wire you
I
up.
have no filter. I have no filter. Oh, is that what this means? Okay. This is not gonna
You
work.
guys are a comedy routine.
Oh, God. Okay, yeah, that's been said. What first struck me as I climbed the stairs, it was like thinking of the anticipation that we had in Abbotsford, waiting for the train, and then how it ended up in a white plastic bag. And then I just remembered saying, "Do you want some coffee?" We're like, "No, just get me out of here.
Just get me out of the rain.
Get me out of the rain." It was buckets. Anyway, so this was the same anticipation, only fulfilled this time, and we were not wet.
I like how she says we.
Yeah, we
weren't.
The person next to me.
It feels wonderful to see her again because it's fun to talk with her, it's fun to email and messenger and all of that stuff, but there's nothing like face to face.
Nah.
Yeah, it's a good face.
Especially this face.
It's a good face.
This face. Oh.
There's Billy again.
Yeah, oh
Also
my
very young.
gosh, yeah, well.
That's Bruce and his wife, Lori.
Oh.
That was the last.
We were both in periods of transition, so we kind of buoyed each other up initially and then realized that we were actually falling in love with one another, and then our relationship took over any of the angst that we had from our previous situations.
Yeah.
So we helped pull each other up by the bootstraps, basically. How have I changed your life?
How have you changed my life? How haven't you changed my life? Wait a minute, that's a little too much credit. Let's back up.
No, I'm fine with that.
Okay, you can bear the weight of that?
Yeah.
I can think of so many things in my life where little things that you said, like, Seattle's not a bad town. In fact, it's a great town. It doesn't get enough press. There's enough good press. You should go there. You should think about that sometime. Okay.
Did that really make any difference in you going up there?
That's why I moved there.
Wow.
Dang, didn't know that. And yeah, because I was like, I gotta get out of LA. This has to happen.
Well, I've loved to see how Nancy's life has unfolded because after we lost touch with one another, she was off doing her career as a photographer and being very successful at it, which I take a little bit of pride in. Yeah, it's been great to see how successful and wonderful your life has been in the time that we weren't together and in touch.
I gotta do something.
Well, I'm glad you weren't just waiting around.
I wasn't thinking, well, maybe I'll see him again. No.
I'll just wait
like,
here.
I'm gone.
He'll come by. He'll come by eventually.
Seeing Michael's life unfold was joyful because I just knew how hard he worked and how devoted he was to it and how good he was. And I was like, oh yay, this is happening, it was happening. I just took such personal joy because I love you. And it was like, okay, this is meant to be, go. Do it, do it, do it, do it.
Do I wish that we had maintained more contact during those periods that we weren't in touch with one another? Well, yeah, selfishly, yes. However, we were both off doing what we needed to do to live the lives that we were following. How am I incorporated in the rest of your life starting from this point onward?
Oh my God, I don't know.
Only the future will tell.
Only the future will tell.
Really well done.
That was really well good. We did that really well. Are we done?
We're done.
Are we done?
We're done.
Yay! Yay! Hug.
Amazing.
Oh, sweetie. Oh.
Since we last spoke, the work has actually been a bit spotty this year. My body has gone through changes. I've dropped nearly 30 pounds since I last saw you. That has affected how I do the work now. Ed Mitchell, a lovely man, he's our musical director, and I think the world of him. He made a comment the other day, in jest. He said, how do you get me to be sick? You give him a job. And that's not the kind of thing you necessarily want to hear. But he meant it with love, and I took it that way. I just hope that there are other decisions being made by other minds that don't have that kind of consideration.
It's my buddy. My legacy with Henson's, well, after 28 years, there have to be a couple of things around that have a lasting quality. And every time that I would come here, and this was, it used to be the Charlie Chaplin studios, and he left a bit of his legacy right here. And this has been a very important space for me. I like to come early. And one of the things I did traditionally was to come here, look at his signature and his footprints in the concrete here, stand in the footprints for a second or two, absorb his energy, and then move on for the rest of my day.
The reason that I have, I think, been so fortunate in my careers is because I have been influenced by the creative juices around me, and that means other people. If you don't have that and you're on your own, no matter what happens, good or bad, who are you going to share it with? What's the point? My connection has always been from the heart. When you touch other people, when you look out and see faces of people and they're looking up at you and they are smiling from their hearts, it's not a, oh, that was really pleasant, thank you very much for coming. It was, and they express this to you. You can't ask for anything more than that in any sort of performance situation or in life. Can an artist, a true artist, ever really retire? No. You will be an artist until the day they put you in the ground, because it comes from your heart and your soul. And when your heart and soul stop, you'll stop being an artist.
I don't think, to answer your question, I don't think an artist can retire. I have that same excitement that's there. But I think pairing it with the writing and pulling together and having these pictures seen is equally important. So it's like being given a new career for me, because I'm becoming a journalist or an author.
There, Joey's not here. Mr. Freeman.
Oh, thank you so much for doing this.
Are you kidding?
Last night was the big gathering, 40th anniversary reunion. For the last year, I've been pulling together all the research on the book about John Davidson and his camp, and the book was just published. And it was exciting.
When Nancy first called and said she wanted to do this, I thought, really? I mean, shouldn't we just let it rest? Over the years, I've thought, that JDSSC was an imperfect thing in that I always wanted to do more. All this talent came in from all over the country. It was hard to narrow it down to 50 students per session. And I felt by the end of it that why couldn't I have done more? Why couldn't I have helped this group of people more? And then she convinced me that no, we should celebrate this. And I said to her a number of times, I said, really, do you think anybody will come? And she said, yes, I'm getting great reaction from people. So there's no question that she made this happen. I'm so thankful. I find out from these graduates all the things that they've done. The varied things. Some are in film production, some are in their writing, they're producing, some are singing.
They shared from their heart, and it showed you the range of people that were in that camp.
I just really worked very, very hard and determined that no matter what, I was going to be victorious. And now I can say I'm working full-time in my studio. I'm working all over the world.
My wife and I sing together. We've been singing together for 34 years. I perform in the national parks. So I started shooting film in Las Vegas in the early 80s.
Kathy is a filmmaker, has done a number of award-winning films.
We traveled 42 weeks of the year, every night in a different place. And I think it became clear after those couple of years that to do the kind of music that I aspired to and stay married was not compatible. I write, arrange, and produce music for a living. Everything from 120-piece orchestra in LA to artists in Nashville to work in Las Vegas. I've written theme songs, official theme songs for the city of Las Vegas, international firefighters, the Shriners.
George, you're kind of a whore.
I learned it from the best, yes.
You're amazing.
Anyway.
All you want to do as an artist, whether it's music, painting, photography, theater, you just want to share. It's built into you. It's a passion that I think you have until your last breath. It means more than almost anything else. You know, most artists in their lifetime, most photographers, even Ansel Adams, how many pictures of all the thousands he took do we really see? Maybe 100. But you never forget when you take a picture. So the fact that maybe 1% of what you shoot gets out there, it's so dang exciting.
I think a lot of people don't realize that in order to succeed at something, you have to do it, and do it, and do it. And Nancy's stamina, Nancy's sticking to it and driving herself. She's got a fire, she's a pistol. And she makes things happen. That's what it takes. And the book is a beautiful book. I can't believe it. Of course, her photography is well known and goes way beyond the book. But it's wonderful. It's very well put together.
I don't need girls to chase me. My wife loves me. We make love almost every day. Almost Monday, almost Tuesday, almost. It's a stupid old joke.
Boy, I sure did reflect on my life when I was looking at other people's lives. It was inevitable. I don't think I realized that at first. A lot of the students that you met last night got married and had a family, and they were singing in their restaurants instead of singing on Broadway. There is always that choice of, do I want a family or do I want to sacrifice everything? You can chase money your whole life and you can end up with a whole lot of nothing. But when you're investing in another human, in another person, if you're lucky, you've chosen well, and you've got someone who's loyal and who will be steadfast and help you to get through so that you can continue being a strong artist, because the bottom line, an artist is still a physical being, and you can't keep going. You're not a ever ready bunny. I mean, I think you need a balance like that. One of the older fellas that came, he's running all over the place, and I didn't see a happy man. I saw a wealthy man, but not a happy man.
Do you have to sacrifice your personal life, the intimacy, in order to get the career you want? I think in some ways, yes. For anybody, but particularly for the artist. Because the artist doesn't always control where they go and what they do to be creative. If you can, that's fantastic. And there are artists that I know and have worked with over the years who have that, have a family, have everything that you would want, a whole ball of wax. Can you have both? Can you have a personal life and a very successful career? Rarely. In my experience, rarely. Because even those relationships that have been close to me, that I have observed, that have had or seemingly had that, not all of them have survived the process. What's been the connection between Nancy and I since that meeting last year? Not a heck of a lot, except online again. Do I think if there's a future for us? I hope there's a future for us. I don't know what that future is and how you would define it or what it will look like it, but I certainly wouldn't want to lose contact with her. I don't want to cut her out of my life, never have. What that future is, I don't know for sure. I think it's probably going to be very similar to what it is now. Now, there may come a time where I may change my thinking about that. I mean, look what happens to people as they get older. Stuff happens, ailments occur, situations change, they get more drastic. You look for support. Support, hopefully, comes from people that you love and hopefully love you. We still love one another, we always have. So, who knows? That could be something where we could help one another down the road. But as far as aiming for that as a goal, I don't see that, at least for me, at this point.
I have to really think about this. The relationship with Michael, I've come to know, what I've come to know in the last year, come to really believe is the depths of when you love someone. It's, in a way, it's like, you know, with your own child, you love them, you go through up and down or whatever you go through, but it's just a given. You know, it got to the point where I think it's like, it's that sacrificial thing of, what's the woman with the baby? And it's like you cut the baby in half or you let it go. I'm kind of at the point, I'll let you go. Do what you need to do to be happy, but just be there, you know, don't disappear.
I'm so glad Nancy had this thing, and this song kind of wrote itself after I got to talking to her, and I just like to say I wrote this for you and me, everybody at JDSSC. It's our song, and hope you like it. That summer we met in our own special place, so ready to go all the way in this life race, sharing each other's dreams on a beautiful island. And we learned from the stars, better love what we wanted to be. We were rising stars with our own superstar.
I've seen a range of love that I've never known with anyone else. As another artist, as someone who inspired me, as someone who I just plain like, as a human being who makes me laugh to this day, and who I truly, even if he pisses me off or something, you know, he hurts my feelings, I realize that love is there. And so, through thick and thin. There are people that, you know, I was engaged to, and people I was married to, and I don't feel anything like I feel. So, lucky us.